and then have Reyna ready on a separate screen.
Okay.
It's live now, right? Perfect. Ram Kabir, everyone. My name is Reyna Patel, and I'm introducing paper crafting with Reyna Bhakta today. She is my first cousin, so I know her very well. She has always been into art our entire life. She also has helped me with a lot of art projects. She loves drawing, paper crafting, so many different things. So this will be a fun event for everyone to go along. Go ahead and ask your questions when you need to. And then, yeah, we can go ahead and get started.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Shainabin, for the introduction. That was very nice. So as you can tell in the flyer, I'm teaching people how to make these 3D roses. I even decorated the base. You can do that. And it's really fun and easy way to make these really pretty roses. And the best part about them is that they don't die like real flowers. And you can even spray them with perfume or have some glitter spray at the end to make them even more nicer and feel like real flowers. And then after I teach you that, I'm going to teach you, we're going to make some cards, and it's going to end up having a 3D pop-up. And this one's a bouquet that I made for my mom for Mother's Day. So you can kind of tell that it pops up in the middle here. So we're going to teach you how to make stuff like that. Also a birthday cake pop-up card. But first we're going to go ahead and start with making these roses. So you can get any kind of construction paper. You can even use regular paper if you want. It'll just make a white rose. So what you're going to do is, like I kind of did previously, you're going to fold it in half and then bend it along the line.
So a quick question, can you use any sort of paper? Like, can it be printed? Does it have to be plain? What do you think?
Yeah, you can use, so this is construction paper. You can even use a really pretty design paper. You can get them from Michael's, Target, Joann. I think even the dollar store has paper pads. You can get like a paper pad that has a bunch of these different designs. But keep in mind, if you have thicker paper, it's harder to bend because we're gonna end up rolling the edges like this. So the thinner, I think, the better. But color is always nice. So yeah, you can use any paper. So yeah, you bend it in half. And then what you're gonna do is cut along this line, along the middle line, because it takes 2 of these sheets to make enough layers for the rose. So now you're left with 2 of these, and whatever we do to this side, we're also going to do to the other side. So we're just going to repeat the steps. So what you're going to do with this is bend it in half. So it makes a little square like this. And this side is open and this side has the fold. So the camera's flipped, so it's kind of hard to tell, but we're gonna bring the folded side in, not the side that's open, but we're gonna bring the folded side in and make a triangle and kind of fold it like this. So we had a square and this is the folded side. We're gonna bring it in and form a triangle. And then once you're done with that, you see the top of the triangle, we're gonna bring that in and cover it with another triangle. So you're just, the whole process of making these roses is making a bunch of triangles. So remember, we started this way and you're just gonna fold the top in to form another layer. So now you should have this side that has a flap and this side is folded. So you're going to take the side that has a flap and then make it in half, just the top layer. So you go down the center and you press it down. So it was like this. You take one side of the flap and you fold it this way, and the other side of the flap, you fold it on the other side. So it's backwards. So you're going to end up with something that kind of looks like part of a paper airplane. So now you're ready to cut, but you have to use your pencil to draw an outline of where you're going to cut. So I'm going to draw kind of like a semicircle. And if it helps you, it kind of looks like an ice cream cone when you cut it. Like the top part is the ice cream and the bottom part is the cone. So we're just going to cut along that.
Can you show that part again? The lighting was hard to see, so put your hand behind it and try and show it one more time.
Like that.
There you go, like that.
Just make like a semicircle right here, and that's where you're going to cut. And it kind of looks like an ice cream cone. So you can use any pair of scissors, but I like to use these bigger ones because they're a little easier to cut with than these small ones. But if you don't have big scissors, you can just cut one side and then use it as a stencil to cut the other side. So you don't have to hurt your hands doing it. So I'm just going to cut along the shape I just made.
Are you allowed to use those fun like pattern scissors, or will that not work for this?
That won't work in this case, but those are fun. So these are the scraps. You can just toss them because we're not going to use them. And this is what I just cut out. And if you unfold it, it should make two of these little flower shapes. And we're going to use those, but remember I said with the other half, we're going to do the same exact thing. So if you missed the first part, you can just watch this again. You're going to fold this other half that you cut in half one more time so it makes a square. And then remember I said one side is open and one side is folded. You take the folded side and cut it, you take the folded side and kind of make a triangle shape into itself. So you started off with this, here's a folded side, and you make a triangle like this. And then this is the top of the triangle because you have this extra part at the bottom. So you're going to fold this inward like this. You start here and then you fold it inward. So you make another layer. And one side has the flaps, one side is just a thick fold. So you take the side with the flaps and you fold this front triangle inward. So remember, you started here, you're going to take one flap, put it on this side, and now you have this second flap and you're just going to bend it on the other side. So now you have all these layers. And same thing, you make an ice cream cone shape as a stencil. And then you just cut over it. So here's this little sketch of the shape I'm going to cut. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be perfect. Art has no rules. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. So just make it your own. A couple of times, actually, I messed up on some of these, but they ended up turning out perfect. So that's the good thing about art, is you can make it your own. Okay, so throw this scrap away. And then here's
Someone had a question. Sorry to interrupt you. Someone private messaged me and asked where you got your specific paper from.
These I believe are from Michael's. I've had these at home for a while. You can get any normal construction paper. Michael's is always a good place to go for paper crafting, but I know Target has a lot of stacks of different colors. So they kind of sell stuff like this, where it comes in all these different colors. You can buy them in a pad or you can buy them alone. I like to buy them together because it's usually a better deal. All right, so you unfold it and now you have 4 of these in total. So what you're gonna do, this is the part where it gets kind of tricky, is you take one of your 4 little flowers that you made and you're gonna cut 1 petal off, just 1. So it doesn't matter which petal, just as long as it's 1. So now I just cut 1 petal off, and you're gonna use both of these, so leave it to the side. And now the second of the 4 flowers you have, you're gonna cut 2 petals off. So again, it doesn't matter which 2. So now you have one that looks like this and one that looks kind of like a heart. Again, put that to the side. And for the third one, you can probably guess, we're gonna cut 3 petals off this one now. So I'm just gonna cut these 3 petals off. So now I have this shape and this shape. And then for the last flower, as you can probably tell, we cut 1, 2, 3, and now we're gonna cut 4 petals. And as you can see, this flower, they all have 8 petals. So when you cut 4, that just means you cut it in half. So you're just gonna cut it straight in half, like that. So now we have all of these different shaped flowers. So you're gonna take the biggest one, and we cut off 1 petal, so it has 7 petals. And here's where you're gonna get your glue stick. Again, we don't use liquid glue because it gets drippy and it doesn't stick as well because it takes so long to dry. So you're gonna see that there's 7 here.
What about hot glue? Can you use hot glue?
You can use hot glue, but keep in mind it dries really quickly. And you have to be really fast. It's also really hot, as it implies. So make sure if you are younger that you have adult supervision, because hot glues are pretty tricky. And they might actually, if you have thinner paper, they might actually rip your paper. So if you have really thick cardstock, it might be good. So yeah, we're gonna start with the one that has 7, and we're just gonna put glue on one of the end petals, and then we're gonna stick it like this, so it kind of makes a flower shape. So we're gonna put glue right here, and then take the petal from the other side and put it over and help it stick. So as long as it's the end petal, it doesn't matter which petal. So I put glue on this one. So now I'm gonna take the petal from this side and overlap it and press it down to let it stick. So now you have a pretty kind of 3D flower shape. So here's the part where it actually starts to look like a rose. You're going to take a toothpick, or if you don't have a toothpick, you can use a Q-tip, kind of something really thin like this, and you're gonna curl the petals outward. And what that does is it makes it look like this, like a rose. So instead of it looking like kind of flat like this one, you can make it more curled. So that's what it's gonna end up doing. So you take the toothpick and you put it on the tip of a petal and you just curl it. And you do that with each petal. And you're gonna do that for each layer. I think there's about 7 layers in the rose that I'm gonna make. 2 are including the buds that we're gonna make at the end, but you're just gonna curl each petal. And it's not always gonna turn out perfect, but just make sure that you don't stress about that, because in real life, not all flowers are the same. So there we go. So we kind of have something that looks like this. That's going to be your base. So then you take the one that's the second biggest one, which would be the one, I don't know if you can see, this one that has 6. And then we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to put glue over here and then bring the petal from the other side and help it stick. And then curl the petals again. So we're just going to repeat this process 4 or 5 more times as we go down the flower. So I just put glue on this petal right here, and I'm going to bring the petal from this side and cover it and help it stick in place. And you press it down. I see a question.
Okay, yeah.
We cut, it depends, so probably 7 if you're counting the buds that we're gonna make at the end. We had the 4 flowers in the beginning, and then we cut 1 petal off the first one, 2 petals off the second one, 3, and then 4. So those are each layer, basically. And the ones that have this double petal and this single petal, those are gonna be your buds. So the rest are your layers. So I think it's about 5 layers, not including the center 2. So you have this shape, and then you're gonna take your toothpick, same thing, and then put it on the tip of the petals and just curl it outward like that. And then do that to each side. There's another one. This comes with practice. You just kind of have to keep making a bunch of roses to figure out which supplies and which paper works for you, because everybody's a little different. Some people like thinner paper, some people don't. So it's gonna look like this. We curled each petal, and then you're gonna place that to the side. And then you're gonna take the third biggest one. Now this one has only 5 petals, and you're gonna do the same exact thing. I'm gonna put glue over here, and then I'm gonna bring this side and just put it together like that. So same exact thing. I'm putting glue all over the inside of the petal, just 1 petal, this one. And then I'm gonna bring this side and just bend it together like this. So each side, as you bend it, it gets smaller and smaller. This one was the biggest one we made, and then you have 1 petal less on each layer. So it's about 5 layers of smaller and smaller flowers until you get to the center, which is the bud. So now you have this once you pressed it down, and same thing. You're just gonna take your toothpick or Q-tip and then put it on the edge of the petal and roll it outwards. And you have to do this pretty tightly if you want tighter curls, and you can have looser ones if you just don't do it as tightly. Your rolls will be a little looser, like kind of a more wide flower if you like that look. So I'm gonna do the same thing to the last petal. So now it's gonna look like this. And you put that to the side. And now you take the one with 4, the halfway cut that we did, and the same exact thing. I'm gonna put glue on one side and then bring it to a close.
So if you didn't want to curl the ends like you've been doing, is there anything else that you can do, like maybe folding it in half or?
Yeah, this one I didn't curl. So this one I didn't curl, and this one I did curl. So you can kind of tell the difference. So what I like to do if I don't curl it, do you see how there's a lot of extra room? You can even put glitter glue kind of to make it pop the edges. So it looks like a wet flower. It's very glittery. Because you have more space to work with here, you can do that. Or you can even get paint spray. I know they have like a metallic gold one, those really pretty colors, and you can just lightly spray on top of it. So it has a shimmer effect. So you don't have to roll it if you don't want to. If you roll it, it's gonna look like a rose. And that's what I'm teaching today, but you don't have to roll it. And you don't even have to put stems. As I showed this one, I kind of made like it look like a succulent, one of those flowers that last forever. And I'm just having it placed here because you can make any kind of flower you want. So again, you're gonna take the one with 4, put glue on one of the end petals and bring the other petal to a close. I see a question that says, do you curl every layer? The answer is, if you're making a rose, yes. If you're gonna curl one layer, you should probably do it to all of the other layers, because otherwise it's not gonna look uniform. It's gonna look a little not unfinished. So if you curl it, you should do all the layers, but if you don't want to curl it, then you don't have to curl 1 or 2 layers. So I put glue on this petal, and I'm gonna bring this end petal and close it in on this one, so the glue sticks to it like that, and you press down. So as you can see, it's getting smaller and smaller. And we're gonna take the toothpick and do the same exact thing. I'm gonna take it at the end of the petal and just curl down. Same thing on this side. And on the last side as well. So we end with something that looks like this. And then now you take the one that has 3 petals that we cut, and we're gonna do the same exact thing. And this is the last layer. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers and then 2 buds. So we're gonna put glue on one of the end petals. Like this. And then we're gonna take the petal from this side and close it in to the glued side so it sticks into place. So now this one kind of actually looks like an ice cream cone. So we're gonna leave it. And then the last part is just curling the last 2 petals of this innermost layer. So you do that, and then same thing here. You put the toothpick to the end of the petal and you just tightly squeeze it and roll it downwards. So now you have all of these different layers going smaller and smaller. So now what we're gonna do is we have the buds to make. So you have the one with 2 petals that looks like a heart, and then you have the single petal. I'm gonna start with the single petal because it's easier to learn the second petal once you start this. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your toothpick and roll one side of the edge of the petal outwards.
So while you're rolling like the last parts, can you tell us like what got you into art and why you like it?
I've just always liked arts and crafts ever since, for as long as I can remember. My mom's also really into arts and crafts, and she got me into it. Every time we had those school projects, that'd be my favorite thing to do in school. I like these little DIY projects because it's nice to just decorate your room or your house with. And like I said, I like making stuff like this because it's more personal if you're giving it as a gift. It lasts a longer time, like flowers will die, and it's just more personal, and it's really memorable to give and to have. So I've always liked that idea, and I watched a lot of those YouTube videos, and that's how I got into it, just seeing other people do it and wanting to make that same stuff myself. So I just rolled this one the single petal like this. And now that we rolled it outward, we're gonna take the toothpick, put it on the other side, the side that we didn't roll, place it diagonal like this, and roll it inwards. So you're gonna have to keep your outer roll intact. So you have this outer roll that we just made. And we're gonna put the toothpick on the other side. So we're not gonna mess with the roll we just made. So you put it diagonal like this, and you're just gonna roll it this way, so the other way. So I'll show you. It's gonna look like this. So once you finish rolling it, it's gonna look like this, and that's gonna be your center of the bud of the rose. And so now you do the same thing with the 2-petal one. You're gonna take it and then curl the edge of the petals outward like that, and do the same thing to the other side. So now you have this, and we're gonna do the same thing. This side doesn't have any rolls, so we're gonna place it, the toothpick diagonal like so, and then curl it down this way. So we're just making it look like different layers because that's how the buds look in the roses. It looks like it's spurting from different directions. So once you finish, it should look like this. So now you have 2 of these. This one's a smaller one, this one's a bigger one. And you're gonna put the smaller one inside of the bigger one. So we're gonna open up the bigger one, unroll it, get your smaller one, put it inside of the bigger one, and just roll it back in place. So now this is your completed bud of the rose that goes in the very center. So now that we're done, we have to put the layers together. So here's your biggest layer, and you can kind of line them up biggest to smallest like this, if that makes it easier for you. But this is your biggest layer, and it's gonna be the base. So sometimes you don't have enough space to fit all the layers in. So what I like to do is I like to cut a little piece of the bottom out so that it makes room for the stem. So take your biggest layer and make a little cut right like this. So now you have a little hole in the center of the flower like this. So then you can fit all of the other layers on top into it. So now you have this base layer. So you're gonna take the second biggest one that we made. I like to glue the bottom part of the outside of the roses and then fit it into place, because it's a lot more cleaner this way and it gets less sticky. So I'm just taking the second biggest one that we made, putting glue on the bottom part of the outside of it. Like this. So now you can't really tell because it's the invisible glue, but you just fit it into place inside of the big base of the flower, and you just press it down so the glue sticks. And I did a little layer, so you don't line them up. You don't line it up like this because then it doesn't look as natural. So you can do staggered like this, so then it starts to look more like an actual rose. So while you wait that to dry, you're gonna do the third smallest one, the one that has 4 petals, and then you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna glue the bottom part of the outside of each petal, and then we're gonna put it into place on top of the layer that we just put in. So I've glued the edges, and now I'm gonna take the flower that I'm building and put it right in the center like this, and then have it stick into place. So you can see it's already starting to look like a rose. So this is the most exciting part, is when your art finally comes together. So you can see we're building this, and then we have one more of these, two more of these actually little layers that we're gonna fit in the center. And if you want to, if your flower doesn't fit, you can always use your scissors like I showed you and just cut the tip. If it keeps popping out of the flower. So I'm just gonna take the glue and put it on the bottom of each different layer and help it stick into place. So now I take this second to last layer, and again, I put it in the center of this rose that I'm making. And you can see it coming together. And then you take your last layer, the one that only has 2 petals, and you're gonna do the same exact thing. You're just going to put glue on this bottom part and stick it in the center of the flower that you're building. So I'm just gonna put glue on this side and then on the other side, because there's only 2 petals on this one. And then I'm gonna put it right here in the center and press it inwards. So now,
someone asked how many layers you need for the rose, but you had said 7, correct?
yeah, so when you count these buds that we made were 2 different petals, right? It was a double petal and a single petal. Not counting those, we have 5. As you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. But if you count the buds, it's 7.
Yeah, because I know some people have like lost like track or like haven't followed along.
Yeah.
So this will also be posted after as well, so you can follow along and pause. Because I know for me, I'm very slow and bad at art. So if I were to try and do this, I would still be on step 1. So don't worry. So it will be posted after as well.
Yeah, and I'm only doing this for the sake of time. Like, I'd love to slow down, but we have other cards to make too. So you can always go back and pause, and like Sheena Bin said. So now we have this rose, and we have to put the bud in the middle, but the bud's gonna fall out, and it's really hard to put glue on this and have it stick. So what I like to do is get tape. And if you don't have double-sided tape, what you can do, I'm gonna show you is how you kind of make your own double-sided tape. You take one piece of tape like this, and then you get the non-sticky side, you roll it this way so that it's not sticking to itself. It's kind of hard to tell what I'm doing. And then you get the other non-sticky side, you put it together. So now you have something that looks like this, like a kind of cylinder, and each side is sticky. So what I do is I put it on the bottom of the bud like that, and then just help it stick into the center of the rose like that. And now you have a rose. So that's how you make the rose. And it's really easy to make the stem. So here I have a pre-made one, and I'm going to show you how to do it. You can take any green construction paper. I mean, it doesn't even have to be green if you don't want it to. And it's really simple. You just take a pencil or a pen and you just roll it. You just roll the paper into the pencil like this. And you keep rolling it a few more times.
Can you use pipe cleaners? Is that what they're called? The little bendy?
Yeah. So I put pipe cleaners on the list because you can use pipe cleaners as a stem itself, but keep in mind it's a little bendy and flimsy. So they're not as sturdy, but I like them because you can bend them. You don't have to put them in a vase. You can bend them and tape them onto a card if you want to. So you can use pipe cleaners too. And just keep in mind, they're not so sturdy. So somebody said, can you read that question? It kind of cut off.
Yeah, it says, can I use colored tape instead of paper for the stem?
Yeah, you can use colored tape. So this one actually kind of looks like duct tape. So you don't have to use paper if you don't want to. There's like these wooden skewers that they look like toothpicks, but they're a lot longer in length and they're wider. They're like wooden sticks, kind of like in the center of this rose right here. And then this one has like duct tape over it, green duct tape. It looks like duct tape, and you can just kind of diagonally put it around like this if you don't really want to do the whole paper rolling thing. So yeah, you can use colored tape. So I showed you this, and the pencil was in here, and you're just gonna roll it like this, and then once you have a good enough amount of layers, you can just take your scissors and then cut along here. And then to keep it in place, you can just use tape. And like I did here, you put one in the top, one in the middle, and then one on the bottom so that the roll that you just made stays in place. And your stem.
Sorry, I was gonna say another cute idea would be getting those little pots from like the 99-cent stores and painting those and just putting the flower in there.
Exactly, yeah. The dollar store actually has a lot of really good stuff if you don't want to spend a lot of money. You can get these plastic vases. These ones are glass, but they have plastic ones. You can just put stickers like I did over it and make your own. Like Shanaman said, they have little pots and decorative cups and stuff that you can put ones without stems in. I put some ribbon, ones with sequins. Like there's a lot of stuff you can do to make it more decorative. So the stem doesn't have to be this long. You can always just cut it wherever you want to cut it. So now we have a stem and the rose that we just made. So what I like to do is flip the rose upside down for this part because it's kind of hard. We have a stem and it's hard to tape it, and that's what we're going to use. So it's hard to show this, but you can't really just tape the stem to this. It's gonna be all wonky. So in real life, how the flowers, they start growing, you can see the stem kind of act as like a base. So I'm gonna cut a little bit like that of the stem down, maybe 3 times. So now I have the stem that has these, and I'm gonna pull each cut that I made back. So now it's a lot easier to grab onto the flower. And then I'm gonna place it on top of the flower like this. So it's a lot easier to tape down these sides. So we're gonna do exactly that. We're gonna get some tape and just place down each of the 3 mini stems that I just cut from the big stem. So that way the flower won't fall apart, the stem won't fall off. And then the last one, you just put more tape on. And you can put as much tape as you want if you don't feel like it's secure. But the one I just made is pretty secure. So this is what I did. I kind of spread out each of the mini stems and I put tape on it. So now you have your flower. So that's how you make a 3D rose. And like I said earlier, if you want to make it smell nice, you can spray some perfume on the rose. You can put glitter glue on the edges. You can even have spray paint for metallic effects. So that's how you make your rose. I'm just gonna add it to the little bouquet I have going on here. And this one I made with a shorter stem if you want to see how that looks. This one's my favorite one. It's a really pretty color. And again, I just want to show if you don't roll it, it can look like that. And you can use design paper. So you can really make it any way you want. So that's how you make your rose. If you have any questions before I start making the pop-up cards, you can ask. Otherwise, I'm gonna go ahead and start. Yeah, so basically you can use these roses for anything. I know Mother's Day is coming up, so you can have these for Mother's Day. You can do it for birthday gifts, graduations. I know some people are gonna be graduating this year. Same thing with the cards. It's really good idea. Valentine's Day, anything you can make them. It's really nice personal gift. So now I'm gonna show you how to make pop-up cards. So this one, it actually is for my mom for Mother's Day. I made this card and I'm gonna write a little message here. But as you can see, this part is pop-up. It's 3D. It's kind of bent outwards like this. So when you open it, it looks like a bouquet of flowers is coming out. So I'm gonna teach you how to do that. I'm gonna place that right here. So what you do is you can get a construction paper, a normal sized one, kind of 8.5 by 11. So you have that, and then you're gonna fold it in half. So now it looks like a card shape. And then you're gonna draw these lines. I already pre-drew them, but you're gonna draw one long line. It's kind of halfway down. One long line that goes into the center of the page, and then one smaller line down here, probably a third of the size of this one, just a smaller one.
Can you give an estimate of like inches of how long the line will be?
This one's like 2 centimeters from the bottom. Just as long as it's not really close to it doesn't really matter where the lines are, as long as it's not too close to the edges, because then it's going to be hard for you to do art on it. But this one's kind of like almost 2 centimeters from the bottom of the page. I just drew a short, maybe over 1.5 centimeters line. And then this one's just into the center of the page. There's not really an estimate. It's just whatever size your page is, go halfway. And these are the 2 lines you're actually going to cut. And then as you can see, I drew a little tiny dot right here. It's probably 3/4 of the way down. This one is just so you know where your bouquet is gonna end. So this is your, like here. This was the big line right here. This was the shorter line, and this was the little speck, so I know where to bend it. So that's what these lines are for. So now what you're gonna do, is just cut this big line and cut this small one. That's all you're gonna do. It's pretty simple. You're gonna cut the lines you just made like this. So now you have this big line that you cut and this small one that you cut. And now this is where we use a little speck. That's how we're gonna know how far to bend it and where to stop. So we're gonna take the cut that we just made, and like I'm showing you, we're gonna fold it to where that speck is, that little line I just made. I'm just gonna fold it like that. So it's gonna look like that. And then this little one that we cut, we're gonna do the same thing and bend it at that line right there. So when you open it, it looks like a bouquet, and you just pop it out. And you can bend it like this if you want to help it pop out, but it's pretty simple. You can put, I put little stickers over. If you don't want to draw flowers, you can do stickers. I put little gemstones. You can even get this like design paper, stuff like this, and cut the same triangle shapes of the bouquet and just stick it on like I did. You don't have to draw if you don't want to. That's why I like stickers, because you can kind of, it's a lot easier to make it look pretty. And yeah, if you have any questions, this is how you make the bouquet one. And you can just go all along and decorate it, draw on it. And then I like to use the edges with washi tape. If you don't know what washi tape is, it's just decorative tape that you can pick up from anywhere, Target, Michael's. Even that Japanese store Daiso has a lot of arts and crafts for like $1, $2. So they have really good ones. So they're these kind of really pretty rolls of tape. That's what washi tape is. They even have holographic ones, sparkly ones. They're just decorative rolls of tape. So what I do is I take a strip out and I just put it on the top and bottom. So it makes it look a lot prettier. So that's what I did. You can even use letter stickers if you don't want to write it, if you want to have different textures and stuff. I think stickers are a great idea. If you have stamps, you can even use stamps. I don't really like to use them because I prefer to draw, but it's up to you what you want to do. So now you have this bouquet and you can kind of decorate that however you want. Now I'm going to show you how to make a pop-up birthday cake card. And obviously this is for birthdays. You can even use it for a graduation. So you're going to start again with one piece of construction or cardstock paper and then bend it in half like this. And then same idea here, you're gonna draw lines. So I have 2 lines. So what we're making here is the bottom of the cake. I'm gonna make 3 layers. So this is 1 layer, I'm gonna draw another layer and then a smaller layer. So this is gonna be the biggest layer, you draw the longest lines, and then you draw halfway lines, and then you draw tiny lines at the top. You can space it out however you want. Just don't space it out too far because then the cake's gonna look like it's floating. So I'm just gonna do maybe just a little less than a centimeter. So I'm gonna draw 2 more lines like this. So it's a little over halfway. And then I'm gonna draw 1 more layer, which is gonna be the top layer. So you're gonna end up, it's gonna kind of look like this. And this is layer 1. I'm gonna write it so we'll know where to cut. So this is layer 1, this is layer 2, and this is layer 3. You're not gonna use this part, so just be careful not to cut it out, otherwise the cake won't pop out. So we're gonna cut along the lines that we just drew. So
Besides art, while you cut, can you tell us about like what you do and like what you studied? Because I know art is a hobby for you, and I think it's wonderful that we're like highlighting different hobbies.
yeah, that's a good question. Like I explained, yeah, art is a hobby, but when I was little, I always said I wanted to be an artist when I grew up, but I'm actually gonna be a nurse. So it's kind of cool. There's a quote, actually, if nursing is a work of art, has art in it. I thought that's funny, but I studied nursing. I went to Long Beach and I studied it, graduated recently, and I'm gonna be a registered nurse. I don't know where exactly I want to work yet, but I think it'd be cool to work at a children's hospital or ICU or even a trauma center. I like taking care of the medicine, human body. That stuff has always interested me. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be studying, and I just do art on the side. So I cut these layers. This is layer 1, this is layer 2, and this tiny one is layer 3. And we're just gonna bend it so you know where the cake ends. So like this one, we're gonna bend like that and put it back into place. Layer 2, we're gonna bend at the tip right there and then put it back into place. And then the first layer, bend it and then put it back into place. So now when you open it, you're gonna kind of have a tiered cake like this, and you just pop out each layer, and you can decorate each layer. So if it helps to visualize, I could draw like a little platter and then put some candles. Again, if you have stickers, that's always a good idea, but this is kind of the idea. This is the platter that the cake is sitting on, and these are the 3 layers of the cake. You can draw on it, you can put stickers, you can put washi tape as the layers if you don't feel like doing either of those. And that's how you make a 3D pop-up birthday cake. And you can write your message here. You can decorate the edges with washi tape. You can make it your own after that, but that's how you make it pop out like this. And if you want to reinforce it, if I have thick paper, so it's going to stay, but if you have thinner paper and you're worried about it kind of bending or falling out of place, you can just reinforce it with tape, clear tape. Any clear tape works, so that it doesn't ever fall apart. So that's how you make pop-up cards and 3D roses. So if you have any questions, you can ask, but thank you for joining. And you can make your own creations and let me know how it goes, or post a picture in the comments. But yeah, if you have any questions.
Someone asked, do you have any ready-made cake cards?
I actually made them for birthdays, so I gave them away. But yeah, but this is how you make it. You can visualize it. You just make those 3 layers and you cut it, and I can just put tape on here.
Yeah,
But
and it really is like you make your own. Art is such a creative outlet that there's no rules, like you had mentioned. And I think that's the beauty of it.
yeah, so that's how you make all of this stuff. Again, let me know if you have any questions. I can post the instructions later in the comments, step by step. So it's a little easier if you don't really like to watch the video. You can just watch the steps, but that's how you do it. And thank you for joining.
Yeah. So a few comments. A lot of people are saying thank you, very good ideas, which I agree. And Punamasi said this is a great activity to take your mind off of things during this time, which I also agree. Reyna's also very into bullet journaling and all of that, which is just journaling and drawing out your thoughts. So that's super cool. And then someone asked, can you make a birthday card and post it later?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll finish making this one. I can add tape and just decorate it. Yeah, I'll post it. I'll probably be done in like 5 or 10 minutes. But yeah.
Yeah. And then someone also said it's great for parents in retirement. So it's great for honestly all ages. That's
anything. You can give it to anybody at any age. You can give it for birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, even just, you don't even have to have a reason. You can just give it, and it's a really good keepsake because people tend to keep handmade gifts a lot longer than like a store-bought card, or roses. Eventually they'll die. So I think it's really nice and sweet if you make handmade gifts because they're really personal.
Agreed. Any more questions? Yeah, as of right now, there aren't any more questions, but is there anything you'd like to say or end it off with?
No, I'll post the birthday card picture soon, but you can just make everything your own, and don't be afraid to make mistakes because there really is no such thing as mistakes in art. So just don't stress out too much. It doesn't have to be perfect. And thank you for joining. And I hope you guys enjoy these crafting ideas and use them.
Yeah, Kaka, do you have something to say or add?
Yes. Thank you very much, Reyna. It was a great learning session. Of course, I personally like the flower that you made. Obviously, I'm going to try that with my daughter sometime tomorrow, as I'm busy today with a lot of Zoom session. But thank you, for teaching us how to make 3 flowers, cakes, birthday card even. That's a great idea for Mother's Day, birthdays, and everything that we do nowadays since we're sitting home. And then I personally avoid myself to go to stores as much as I can. So these are great idea. We will have a recording of this posted a little bit later today on all our social media channels. And she will also post something, I think Reyna will, after she makes the birthday card. And do you have an Instagram page, Reyna?
Not for art. I don't have.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, I don't.
no problem. So this is about it. Lots of compliment from many viewers on social media and right here on Zoom. So thank you for teaching us. This is something new that we learned today. Totally different. This was our first show with you. So congratulations from SRBS. It's great learning for all of us. Thank you, Shayna, for being such a nice cousin and a host, of course, on behalf of us as SRBS. We love to have you pretty much whenever we can. I know you all are busy, with a lot of other education and other stuff. So thank you. There's also a Bal Vikas Kendra event today in Southern California. Many of you will be joining that. Just two announcements today quickly. We'll have a Kabir Wisdom session tomorrow at 12:30 Central, 10:30 Pacific with Anand Rao Sahib. And then we have Lil Chem Geet Mala tomorrow at 6 p.m. We will have a kids from age 5 to 16. And as we promised, you will love this Geet Mala. So join us at 6 p.m. right here on SRBS Facebook page. So this is about it. There's no other questions on session here. So thank you all for joining.
Thank
And we all will see you tomorrow. Thank you, Reyna. Thank you, Shayna, and thank you all the viewers, especially who join us today. Thank you very much. Ram Kabir.